Dawn. Oh, nice and early. So, I'll kick things off with a tiny little announcement. I will be doing my live stream with Stein for readings, for free readings on Sunday. We moved the schedule to Sunday to handle those readings. It'll be 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Greyhorn Pagans podcast, Zero Life Immortal. We're trying to do basically like a weekly, thus having my, my offered talents to the show be part of good content for Stein, who's been looking for it, and I decided to step up to it, and he was into it. So it was a great, tremendous success last week. We'll see how things go as we go. In the course of using magic to help me out with my day-to-day life, I've spoken a little bit about how I am utilizing taromancy, and I'm trying to give you guys some hints for anybody out there who is using various kinds of divinatory tools. There's, this is proactive divinatory. You're putting the card into effect, right? So, for me, taking care of, I had a hairy economics situation where there was an error in payment for a job, and to correct that error, they had to. This person's beep. It's a red light. No turn on red. I'm about to turn on red for you. Fucking chill. Look at that. Turned anyway. People are so impatient. I swear to God. All right. So I'm dealing with a little bit of this hairy economic situation. So they have to pull out all the money that they gave me, and then they have to give me back the money that they actually owe me. And so, because I got a lot of things tied to my bank account, a lot of needs, I'm too busy to pay attention to anomalies. I'm good with whatever, because it literally, that shit showed up for me when I needed it. To protect me from overdraft, because of how funky the situation was, I put a tarot card up. It's the Four of Pentacles. So I used the Four of Pentacles, and then I called up my credit union, and I was just like, hey, I got this whole thing, and I explained my situation on Friday, right? And they said, like, look, how about this? We'll take all the money you got now, and we'll put it on a hold for you, right? So basically, I took care of the money while it was there to protect me from spending the money and incurring an overdraft fee. I got about $6 left, I think, in my account. $6 left. And then I should have a handful of that back. And then I've got cash here that needs to be deposited at the bank, and I got my paycheck coming, right? And so the Four of Pentacles is kind of keeping my money together, right? The Four of Pentacles is represented by that he's this he's like it's the hoarding card, some people might call it, right? He's got like the two pentacles that he has underfoot, a pentacle under each foot, a pentacle on top of his head, on top of his little crown, and then this one pentacle that he's kind of holding over his solar plexus, kind of like this, which is also a very energy center orienting position in any energy practice like that, you know, just anything where your palms of your hands are like this in a sense of space, right? And he's king, but he's like it's the little he's not really king, but it's just like he's being kingly with his wealth in the way that other kings hoard wealth, right? Kings are like dragons if they're hoarding wealth. This is not even draconic energy. This is just having a grasp of what's yours and trying to keep all of what's yours together with all of your faculties, right? Because you do have a claim to things to have. Right? We're not materialists. We're not, I suppose you could say we're spiritualists, but like, you know, matter is prime, spirit is prime kind of thing, or energy, some people will say, instead of spirit. Right? This isn't that fight. This is the relationship of both. Right? So that's your Four of Pentacles, and that relationship is meant to be a very fucking honest one. Don't sit there and be spiritual and then use materialism and use some material thing to act like you've got your shit together or whatever, and don't be like a guy who's in it for money, who is like figuring out something spiritual to fucking throw everybody a goddamn bone, right? Just be cool. Just be yourself and just share with people what you got, you know? If you ain't got it, don't give it. And considering we're talking about the Four of Pentacles in particular, right? I'm not actually talking about that in the sense of like, you know, give people your money just because you got money, right? Because that's the Four of Pentacles is saying the exact opposite of that. Give people nothing, right? But then the Five of Pentacles brings us to this sense of charity, right? There's the less fortunate. No, you know, that all starts to come into play. But we're not at 5, we're at 4. Right? So you really want to have your philosophy panned out. You want to have your morals and ethics panned out. You're going to want to be able to express them and be prepared for how people feel about it. Right? You know, if people think you're being a spiritual bad example by taking this all out and being like, I can't like you anymore, right? You're gonna have to deal with that, risk that. Because people aren't just friends with each other because they like all sorts of different things about them. They've also got to be a certain way. I think people kind of feel that they gotta be a certain way, and that becomes more and more obvious over time as you come across certain people in your life, and then certain people in your life go, right? And then there's a certain time when you're younger where, you know, the idea that, you know, like, and I'm not even talking about being a child. I'm talking about the friends you're holding as adults. The friends you make in your adult, because you assume with adulthood and whatnot, even if it's just your early 20s, you're probably going to shape things out so these people are your friends for your whole life. Right? That's your imagination with it. Because you're not necessarily deep yet. You don't even know there's a depth, or you think you're deep and you're not. But you have no perspective on what is truly deep. You think you know, but you don't know. Right? So, here's my point with the taromancy, right? It's remembering when you have things like this that you can just as much evoke them. You can just as much evoke them as you can just simply interpret one by the fates in context, right? And when you understand what it represents, and you understand what it will represent regardless of whether it's being used to divine something or not, you start seeing its use in other applications, right? I mean, Jodorowsky's Holy Mountain from the 70s, the whole film is taromancy. The whole movie's taromancy in such an epically proportioned manner of the rich layers of symbolism, all inspired vis-a-vis aspects of different tarot decks. And just like a tarot card, many movies, especially ones that are built with a lot of set dressing and things of this nature, you're gonna find things you're always gonna be missing, you know, or things you still haven't fully acknowledged yet because you're still working out the symbolism, right? There's all sorts of tiny little symbols like in the Chariot card that I'm not all the way there yet in understanding, right? Those little micro details. I've spent more time in meditation with A, other cards, B, other decks. You know, my Wildwood Tarot is one of those decks that is designed as an absolute deviation from Rider-Waite, right? People that use the Crowley deck, the Thoth deck. It's all about how much you're deviating from Rider-Waite, right? Rider-Waite would probably be the last of the traditional tarot decks to be ever made. Even though it's kind of modern, it's still kind of basically traditional. And then it's, I guess, I don't know if anybody made a deck in between Rider-Waite and Crowley. Right? And so then Crowley comes along and invents the first kind of like new deck, building with new symbolism, working with a vastly different kind of art. You know, it's very obvious why, you know, you would go to the Thoth deck, right? The intricate uses of various forms of sacred geometry, the elegance of the line work, as opposed to kind of the more Renaissanceian or Victorian kind of, I guess, simple, I don't know if you call it pictograph. I don't know why the word pictograph came into my head. But you get my idea there, right? And then eventually an industry opens up, right? And people are just making all sorts of different decks with varying levels of symbolism, right? And I do think that when it comes to tarotmancy, you gotta have a more you gotta use cards with the right symbols, right? You know, like that's framing the right picture. Rider-Waite-Smith is so useful because of how much of its modern tropes, or not even really modern, because, you know, it's horses, it's all very, like, I mean, like 100 years ago, you still could have seen it as modern. I mean, there's still a lot of, I mean, like 100 years ago, you know, you still had streets that were horse friendly in the, you know, in the 1920s, I think. They were largely phased out, I think, by then, but, like, there are plenty of older people that would have had a better relationship with horses to understand one or two things that might be popping up with any card, like death or the knights, so on and so forth, and picking up on you know, just the character of the horse in the card would be one thing, right? You know, as well as anybody with their proper history studies, they, you know, they can pick up on things. You know, I didn't have enough of a history study to know about the Tudor cross. I had to figure that out on my own. If you had a high education back in the day, you'd look at the death cards and say, oh, look at that, it's the Tudor cross. Not the Tudor rose, excuse me. Tudor rose. Let me see here. What we got here? I just want to say hi, Theo, Nicholas, hi, Yaz. And then Peaceful Penguin's got a couple of things here. Bear with me, Peaceful. 12 Grandmaster Architect. Teachers that by Igor. Hang on. I don't know if there's a way to... I don't think you can blow up the text on the screen. I could have sworn I thought I saw something about that, but I don't think so. Okay. Alright. By labor alone, we can obtain happiness for our fellow beings and ourselves, and that to whatever degree of civilization mankind may attain. Okay. A true Mason will never cease. Bear with me. Okay, a true Mason will never cease to labor, that he may thereby make more complete the condition of his brethren. Right. Interesting. Good to know that those are some Masonic vibes about a thing, and you know, there's stuff to learn in Masonry, but know that Masonry also, metaphysically speaking, has its linchpins as a product of force-fitting the Abrahamic model into your spiritual practice. And, the Abrahamic model is, it's very materialist, right? It's just like there's no such thing as mythology. It's all history. And that all these things are literal, yada yada yada, right? There's far too much of that. It's people, but it's also the way the goddamn books are written, right? It's people, but those books are written specifically for those kinds of people, right? And the Bible and the people who idolatrize it are I don't know what to do about that. And it's when they cross the line, such as a fundamentalist may do. We see the ugly nature of their character in the way that they go after guys like Billy Carson, right? Guys like me and Archaics and such go after a guy like Billy Carson on completely different grounds, right? But I say Billy Carson is a fool for practically playing this victim of it. I don't even know if he's playing. I don't even know how it's going on. I'm not even really fucking paying attention, right? Just because I had heard enough of Billy Carson to not be impressed, considering where I'm at, where he's going, how sick and tired I am of things like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which was channeled like 100 years ago, and although the entity that it was channeled from is for real, and may actually be saying a handful of true or truthful things, it's it's giving you a certain sense of the metaphysics that is actually kind of designed to fall into all of these other problems that I just talked about with Abrahamism, right? It operates as kind of like a Kabbalistic support. Oh, that's interesting. One of the ladies in the office seems to have brought her youngling. I'm assuming it's the office side of the warehouse is very small. Granted, so is she. All right. Shit, it's Friday the 13th. Wasn't even thinking about that. Rest in peace, Jacques Desmoulins. It's called speculative masonry, not literal. Oh, man. Speculative masonry, right. Archaics posted a pic of him with Thor's hammer. Laugh out loud. Who, Billy Carson? Did Billy Carson wear the Thor's hammer, or was he putting Thor's hammer on Billy Carson in like a protective magic meme? Because Jason obviously really wants to fucking debate Billy, or at least did. And he went after him hard, properly, right? Honorably. You know, like I've got this duality about it because I ain't gonna bring up this without bringing up James True, because James True, forever I say, deserves a fair fucking hearing. But hey, whatever. And people want to fucking make a blacklist of it, right? And it's just like, if it's fair for a guy who's wrong to be defended by somebody who wants to debate him because of the ill character of the attack, then why doesn't that fucking go for James True? Why did he have to be lambasted on Twitter and not just given a simple and kind, no, not interested? Maybe a brief explanation of like, you seem to have peaked on your view count and it really wouldn't benefit me much, but thanks for the offer. No, it wasn't like that. It had to be an outright, you know, stomp the face in the ground over nothing. Over, you know, beginning to propose the parameters of something to debate about. So, you know, shout out James True. And I think that if Jason wants to continue to protect Billy Carson on these grounds, which I think he should, then I think he needs to fucking re-evaluate how he treated James True and stop making decisions based on some imaginary blacklist that doesn't actually exist, other than in the cringy idea you may have of James True in your mind because he said something about gifts of Baal and arcs of Baphomet and, you know, hermaphrodites are people too. And like, what is it? You can't handle somebody that maybe goes down some weird taboos in physiology and noticing the correlations towards many of the things that are fucking scientifically fucking endeavored and magically endeavored that are being talked about in the modern psych. Don't make no fucking sense to me. Don't make no fucking sense to me at all. And for the record, you know, I'm speaking on my own here. This is me and myself and I. This is me doing myself no favors with Archaics. And who knows, maybe even my future, just on the merit of what I like to talk about, what the community is talking about, right? Because you want to be part of a fucking conversation, and then you feel like you're alone in the conversation because nobody wants to talk to you about that conversation. Over what? It was just like, nah, all the words coming out of your mouth, man, those are all the wrong words, bro. It's just like, why can't people just be fucking cool and talk to each other about shit? Right? Somebody with intelligence coming completely from another fucking place. Right? Seriously. Why aren't we fucking expanding our fucking consciousness? You know, why aren't we broadening our foundation for more footing, right? Reevaluating a few considerations, right? But hey, you know, you want to let the little things get under your skin, you know? It's quite likely it's quite likely just a matter of I don't know. It's James True is secretly blacklisted for a weird thing that went down that nobody fucking understands, like from fucking 6 years ago. And it's just like, how much psychic space do you have to hold to, you know, to keep someone out of everybody's orbit, to project into the future to all of your fucking colleagues that are going to also be big deals and be, so that way, always and forever that guy's name, right? Like, Mark of Cain. What gives you the right to give somebody the Mark of Cain, right? That's allegorically what you're doing to James True, is you're giving him the Mark of Cain. Cast you out, for, for an improper offering. You gave me an improper offering, and now I cast you out. All right? You're not the god to decide what a proper and improper offering is. There's a public conversation going on. There's people with ears and eyes of interest. And James True's got a lot of intelligent, interesting things to say. Angles that are like, just watch my Mandela effect. Who else had such a cohesive idea about the Mandela effect being a collective egregore kind of a hallucination, right? And this fits with James's hallucination of reality. Like, naturally, that would be a great fucking, like, I'm glad he fucking came up with that, right? I love the debate that we had about weather warfare, where he thinks that it's mostly our sympathetic magic that's doing it, right? I think that the technomancers also have sympathetic magic, and so they got this big fancy technology. We psychically charge it with more than what it's actually capable of, and then the psychic field does half the work that the harp machine is doing, right? Or there's somebody who's picked up a traditional Native American rain dance or something, and that's why it's fucking raining hard. All right, I have milked a late start to my day that is tolerable. I need to get to it. I will catch you guys soon. Let me just have a quick look here. After I screenshot him glitching, looking him like a reptile, a joke he couldn't handle, childish on both sides. All right, listen. Let me tell you something. Sometimes you don't read the room right. Sometimes somebody's in a foul mood. They're like James True. He took some verbal lambasting. He had all sorts of friends fall out on him. People close to him in network with chat groups and Telegram groups and stuff that all fucking couldn't handle when he started doing some psychoanalysis amongst our own for what I thought was good reasons and what I thought was a good, strong, and healthy way of helping ourselves grow and challenging ourselves. Some of the tough love of calling something out that you see someone doing that is maybe antithetical to what we think we're all here for, right? So, listen, I bet I have fucking blocked a handful of people that otherwise probably would have been great supporters of mine, right? Maybe. But they weren't reading me at the time. Or they're talking out their ass while they're fucking typing. I got no fucking sense of a profile of who they are, and they're just doing something rude, as a joke that lands horribly bad, right? I mean, luckily, most of the time I'm asking my questions, my follow-ups. All right. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Here, Jason and James passed the ball. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people fucking would, right? I think that Sarcastic Warlock and Benjamin Balderson are the only fucking reason why James True is believed to be a bad man. And Owen Benjamin doesn't fucking talk to him anymore. Never talked to Sark either. Sark had nothing to do with anything but James. That was more for James's internal world, plus influence on people that I thought were my friends. And it's just like, I don't care. I don't care really. It is what it is. We all move on. I got my things I'm doing, and my enemies have their things that they're doing. I'll see you guys later. What's up, Derek? Oh, and Stein. Hey, what's up? All right. That's Stein, by the way. Sub Stein's channel. You'll see me there Sunday. Bye.